Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Paul, and in this Red Gamer Tentacom video we're going to be discussing Kaby Lake. Specifically, this video is going to be focusing on the release schedule for the upcoming successor to Skylake. So, this processor is very much an optimization of Skylake. I've been through the specs several times over, so I don't want to continue to beat the dead horse, but this is the first of Intel's new process architecture and optimization, and this one is definitely an optimization. It is certainly not a new process because it's still using 14nm, and it's still not an architecture because, well, it's very damn similar to Skylake, but it is simply an optimization. Optimization, naturally, is simply the refinement of an already existing processor to squeeze additional performance out of it. And we're all pretty familiar by now with Skylake and its performance, so you can think of this as the general 10-ish% depending on the application, as well as some extra shinies here or there in terms of instructions, power saving, and naturally we're also going to see the introduction of a new platform, which will obviously have its own bits and pieces. But as I said, the purpose of this video is the release date. So a release date has actually popped up thanks to some slides on benchlife. So we're looking at a couple of particular areas. The first one is the low power SKUs, and they are going to be hitting in September, which is not exactly a long wait away. Now, those processors are not necessarily going to be interesting to you if you are a high-end desktop PC gamer. So, for example, if you're looking for a processor to pair with a new Titan, probably want to turn your ears off for the next few seconds. But if you're looking for a new laptop, that type of shiny stuff, then this may well be of interest. So you're looking at a KBL-Y, see how that works, and that is a 4.5 watt, but the KBL-u is going to be up to 15 watts of TDP, which is pretty damn low for a processor. And it's going to have various multimedia and encoding instructions. For example, it's got a dedicated media engine and other bits and bobs. So for certain folks, it's going to be a nice upgrade if you're looking for a notebook, laptop, that type of thing. And naturally, the fact that it's got a more powerful IGPU, integrated graphics processor, means for gaming performance, we're going to see a slight upgrade over what you've currently got. You're probably not going to be able to run, let's say, Crysis 3 at absolute maximum settings at MSAA ×4 at 60 FPS at 4K, but it is going to offer a slight, subtle upgrade to what we've already got, as well as the multimedia stuff. But now I've gotten the less interesting stuff out of the way, let's focus on the one that most folks are going to be caring about. The i5-7600 and the i7-7700. Now, Intel are actually using a new category for this, and they're referring to it as the S4+2. Now, this is basically the mainstream quad-core variants, and it's very important to realise the fact that it is mainstream. Now, there are a couple of subtle changes. We're looking at improvements to DHCP 1.4, and on top of that, we finally have a release date, at least according to this roadmap. Now, obviously, these are all rumours, so if we do see slippage into, let's say, early part of next year, well, don't shoot the messenger, but we're looking at 2016 December, which really means, obviously, it does depend on number in retail, and by which I mean how many processors Intel to actually get to their customers, which in this terms would be like the Amazons, overclockers, or whatever shops you purchase from, and how limited the quantities are. Hopefully they're not too limited, so we don't see ridiculous price gouging, which was a really big problem on the 6700Ks with massive price hikes. I believe in the UK, don't quote me on this, but I believe at one point you were looking at like £400 for the 6700K, which, to be honest, is fucking ridiculous considering it was just, when I actually did the review, funnily enough, for the 6700K and requisite motherboard, the price was around $330, and then a couple of weeks after the review, the price skyrocketed to around 400 Great British pounds, which is absolutely just monstrous. Anyway, I digress. So there are a couple of different versions that we're really going to be focused on as gamers. The first is the 7700K. Now this, of course, stop me if you're familiar with this, 4 cores, 8 threads, and 95 watts TDP, and then finally the 7600K. Exactly the same. Difference is you have slight differences in the chip, in that it doesn't have multi-threading support, which really, we're kind of used to it by now. The fact that, you know, you've got the i5s and i7s with the number of cores. Hopefully this will change, as I've mentioned multiple times over, with Intel's new range of processors over the next couple of years. It's going to be really weird because it's a bit of a crazy time to buy a processor, honestly, if you're buying from scratch. Especially if you've got to invest in DDR4. There are a couple of reasons I mention that, because firstly we don't know how the processors are going to necessarily respond to speedy or slower DDR4 memory. For example, and I'm just purely giving an example here, if you buy, let's say, a Kaby Lake processor now, and then in 6 months' time you decide to jump to the Zen bandwagon, we don't know what's going to happen. Are you going to want new DDR4 memory? Like, does Zen scale much better with faster memory, or does faster memory not matter so much because, let's say, it has a more robust caching system? So, let's say, does tighter memory timings make more of a difference with Zen? Answer is, we don't know. Now, what does that mean for you and I? Well, I'm not saying don't buy Kaby Lake, but I'm saying that buy Kaby Lake if you need it. If you've got something pretty fast already, I'd be somewhat tempted to personally wait until Zen. But ultimately, it's your money. So just, you know, pay it whatever you want. Speaking about Zen, I will still be doing the analysis. I know it slipped a day or two. Unfortunately, I've had some bad news in real personal life, so I've been dealing with that. So I'm going to be, well, getting back on with it as fast as possible, hopefully the next day or two. Unfortunately, things happen, and real life sometimes sucks. But anyway, hopefully you found the video somewhat informative. Apologies for it not to be as in-depth as normal, but as I said, dealing with a few things right now, which I'll probably get into in the not too distant future. But, you know, it is what it is. So, take care of yourselves, guys. Bye for now.